Greetings, fellow seekers of truth and unravelers of ancient enigmas. Welcome to Ancient Relics Keeper, where history's most profound secrets await your keen discovery. In the 19th century, a mystical prophet made a chilling prediction about the fate of Antarctica. His name was Edgar Cayce, considered the greatest psychic of all time. A new Nostradamus of America. People called him the sleeping prophet because he often slipped into a trance that resembled a deep sleep. In that unconscious state, he would whisper strange prophecies claiming to be influenced by supernatural forces. Edgar was born in the year 1877 on a farm in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, a place where no one would expect a boy capable of seeing the future to emerge. From a young age, Edgar was unlike any other child around him. While his friends played carefree games, young Edgar immersed himself in reading the Bible and speaking with the ghost of his deceased grandfather. At the age of 10, he claimed to have encountered a winged woman in the forest while reading the Bible. And from that moment on, strange visions continually appeared in his mind. Being a prophet was never an easy way to make a living. Edgar began his career selling insurance, but he eventually became renowned for his extraordinary psychic abilities. He could diagnose illnesses, offer predictions about countless events, both great and small. Yet, he was most famous for his visions of the future. Several of his prophecies came true, such as the stock market crash of 1929, the outbreak of World War II, and the deaths of John F. Kennedy and Franklin Roosevelt. But the most terrifying of his predictions have yet to come true. Edgar once foretold the complete destruction of New York, Los Angeles, and San Francisco by catastrophic earthquakes. In January of 1934, Cayce spoke of violent upheavals in both the Arctic and Antarctica, triggering volcanic eruptions, tropical regions becoming hotter, and the shifting of Earth's poles, where once frozen lands would turn into tropical zones covered in lush moss and ferns. Though his prophecy may sound mysterious, Edgar was essentially describing the theory of pole shift, a hypothesis that had been mentioned before. He predicted that another pole shift would occur, causing massive disruptions to all the continents on Earth. Antarctica, he said, could move northward, its ice melting to reveal every secret buried beneath the frozen surface. Edgar Cayce was not the only one to foresee doom for Antarctica. A Brazilian psychic named Athos Salami also delivered chilling predictions about the year 2024. Known as the living Nostradamus, he had previously predicted the CO-19 pandemic, as well as the death of Queen Elizabeth. Athos warned that a new virus would soon be discovered in Antarctica. This virus, released as the ice melts, would spread to human populations, igniting a new and deadly pandemic. Humanity, he warned, would fall into a darkness even deeper than that of 2020. These prophecies leave us with an unsettling question. Does the future of Antarctica truly hold an unimaginable catastrophe? More than a century after its disappearance, the ship HMS Endurance has finally been discovered by Antarctic explorers, lying over 3 kilometers beneath the ocean's surface. The discovery of this wreck has been hailed as one of the most challenging searches in the history of maritime archaeology. In 1915, an expedition led by Sir Ernest Shackleton set out to explore Antarctica aboard this very ship. But when the vessel became trapped in the thick ice of the wet sea, it was crushed and sank into the frigid depths. Endurance rested silently under layers of mud and ice for 107 years until it was finally found in March of 2022. Min Sun-bound, the director of the expedition, could not hide his astonishment. According to him, this is the finest wooden shipwreck he has ever seen in his life. One might expect that after all those years, the ship would have been reduced to nothing but fragments. Yet, the Antarctic cold preserved it in near-perfect condition. Even the word endurance remains clearly visible on the stern. The secret to its remarkable preservation lies in the extremely cold cedar, wood-eating marine organisms, which normally devour shipwrecks, are almost non-existent here. Instead, The hull has become home to Antarctic sponges and other unique marine creatures. If one day you were piloting a high-tech underwater vehicle and came across a mysterious glowing purple sphere, what would you do? That was the question scientists faced when they encountered a strange object in the deep waters surrounding the Channel Islands. The research team aboard the EV Nautilus was the first to spot it. But what was it? An alien egg or perhaps a disco ball for fish? Nobody knew. But they were determined to find out. Using the suction arm of an underwater robot, they retrieved the sphere for closer examination. Upon inspection, they noticed it had two distinct lows, sparking several initial theories. One hypothesis suggested that this purple object was a type of sea slug, possibly a nudibranch. These soft-bodied creatures are famous for their vivid colors and lack of shells, the flamboyant show-offs of the ocean. Yet, what fascinated scientists even more was the possibility that this sphere could belong to a species previously unknown to humankind. After all, it's not every day that scientists come across something strange, glowing, and drifting in the open sea. Determining whether it is indeed a new species could take years, as science demands patience and meticulous research. Why does this matter? Discovering new species helps us better understand the diversity of life in the oceans and provides insight into the health of marine ecosystems. Moreover, finding such bizarre creatures is always an exhilarating experience. Imagine being able to tell everyone you discovered a new species of sea slug that looks like a glowing gummy candy. That's the kind of story you'd never get tired of sharing. For now, scientists have named it Boba's Peruse, a mysterious yet fitting name for such an extraordinary find. At a museum in Cairo, there is a remarkable mummy known as Amos Moret Amun, the daughter of Pharaoh Sir Tau. Her name, when translated into English, means child of the moon, beloved of Amun. While she and her father are not widely remembered today, around 500 years before Christ, they were members of Egypt's royal lineage. When scientists excavated her mummified remains at the Dar al-Ari site near Luxor, they conducted detailed analyses. Before long, experts discovered that this princess could have lived much longer if only she had eaten less and exercised more. Amos died in her early 40s and the cause was an extremely poor diet. Surprisingly, she was not alone in this fate. Researchers found that Amos Moret Amun had 5 major arteries severely clogged. For a middle-aged woman, this was an alarming health condition. Professor Gregory Thomas, a cardiologist at the University of California, remarked that if she had walked into his clinic today, he would have immediately scheduled a double coronary bypass surgery. To this day, Amos is recorded as the earliest known case of coronary atherosclerosis in history. This disease, now common in the United States, occurs when plaque builds up inside the arteries, eventually leading to heart attacks. Driven by curiosity about this severe cardiovascular issue, scientists expanded their research and scanned 52 other mummies from the museum's collection. The results shocked many. Half of them also had clogged arteries. This proved that ancient Egyptian royalty unknowingly pushed themselves into early graves simply because of their indulgent and carefree lifestyle. But why? Previously, it was believed that conditions like arterial blockages and heart attacks were consequences of the modern diet. However, this new study shows that ancient Egyptians faced similar problems. Back then, the cause wasn't processed foods or cigarettes. It was the lavish lives of the elite who had easy access to rich foods such as pork, bread, and honey. In fact, many royal mummies displayed clear signs of obesity, something rarely associated with the age of the pharaohs. A skull pulled from the bottom of a well in China is rewriting the entire history of human evolution. This fossilized cranium belongs to a new branch of the human family tree, a completely new species known as Dragon Man. Scientists believe Dragon Man may be even more closely related to modern humans than our Neanderthal cousins. The fossilized skull had rested undisturbed at the bottom of the well for 90 years. And the story of its discovery is as strange as the mystery of its origin. In 1933, Chinese workers building a bridge in Heilongjiang province unearthed the skull. That time, during Japan's brutal occupation, the man who found it understood its significance and didn't want it to fall into Japanese hands. He carefully wrapped it up and dropped it into an abandoned well. It wasn't until 2018 that the skull was brought back to light. The man who had hidden it long ago revealed the secret to his grandson on his deathbed. Imagine the drama of that moment. The grandfather lying in his hospital bed, pulling his grandson close and whispering, "The skull is in the well." And indeed the skull is now rewriting history. An international team of scientists studied the skull closely. It belonged to a hominin that lived 146,000 years ago. The skull has peculiar traits, both modern and primitive. The face resembles that of modern humans. Yet the cranium is much larger than usual. It was large enough to house a modern brain, perhaps even more advanced. Professor Chris Stringer from London's Natural History Museum summed it up simply. This man had a huge head. The skull is so unique that scientists believe it represents an entirely separate human species. This means that so far only one skull serves as evidence for the existence of a species that once resembled us. But on a much larger scale, they were real giants. And this world holds only one piece of evidence for them. The study of demons reached its peak. Magic had nearly vanished. No longer were there battles between sorcerers, but there were still those who craved power from demons. In the year 1486, the most infamous book on demonology was published in the city of Speyer, Germany, a work that would shape nearly all of humanity's later beliefs about demons. The author of this book was Heinrich Kramer, a fanatical Catholic clergyman far from any comical figure of the modern day. The book was titled Malleus Maleficarum, which translates to the Hammer of Witches. Even the name itself was unsettling, and it was not meant to comfort anyone. Heinrich Kramer held strange views about the Roman Catholic Church, so much so that even the Inquisition condemned his book for its unethical ideas. The Church declared that the work contradicted its own doctrine on demons. Imagine the toxicity of a book so extreme that even the Inquisition, infamous for burning and torturing half of Europe, had to issue a warning. In the Hammer of Witches, every form of witchcraft was labeled heresy. Anyone accused of heresy would be tortured until they confessed. The only solution for the crime of witchcraft was death. That time, those accused were often burned alive before the crowd. Before the book appeared, witches were seen as evil, but mostly dismissed as superstitious nonsense. In the 9th century, the Church still considered witchcraft an illusion. Those who believed in witches were thought to be merely possessed in their dreams. As magic and spells were deemed non-existent, they acknowledged that demons could possess humans and could be driven away through prayer. But magic itself was never considered real. Then came Heinrich Kramer, who poured all his hatred onto women accused of witchcraft. In 1484, in the Tyrol region of Germany, he tried to convict an Austrian woman of being a witch, but failed miserably. He was expelled from the city and called a madman by the local bishop. Furious, Kramer began writing, and 2 years later, The Hammer of Witches was published, brimming with hatred, not only toward witches, but seemingly toward women in general. The book quickly spread, altering society's perception. Before, heresy meant defying Christian doctrine, such as blaspheming against God. But with Kramer, simply brewing herbs or being an outspoken woman could brand you a heretic. By the 16th century, royal courts of the Renaissance used this book to justify mass persecution and execution of witches. This is the story of how demons and magic evolved through the ages. It began 3,000 years ago with King Solomon and his mystical arts to control demons, passed down through generations. When magic was forgotten, the Church fully denied it. But when a man filled with hatred wrote a book, cursing women, the world plunged into the most terrifying witch-hunting era. Before 1400, Almost no one was accused of witchcraft. By the 1560s, burning witches had become common across Europe, and the entire continent was consumed by fear of demons. Among countless ancient Gnostic texts, the secret book of John stands out as a remarkable phenomenon from the early centuries of Christianity. Scholar Karen L. King noted that this was the first Christian writing to explore the nature of God and the origins of the universe. But what does that truly mean? The book was written as a supplement to the Gospel of John, as its author felt the Gospel had not fully conveyed the profound mystery of existence. This was the essence of Gnostic believers. They accepted Christian writings but sought deeper explanations for why the universe exists and why humans are born into physical bodies. Most likely, the secret book of John was composed around the year 90, meaning its author could have personally known Jesus himself. A claim of unparalleled honor. The work was written in Alexandria, Egypt, a city renowned for its scholarship at the time, where cultures and religions converged. So why did the church despise this book so much? In the text, Jesus appears before the Apostle John, revealing the origins of the universe and the secret of soul salvation. Jesus says, "There is only one God. But he is so complex that human language cannot describe him." Things grow stranger when the book claims that in the beginning God created heaven with countless extraordinary entities including the Holy Spirit, the Mother of God, Jesus himself, and many other aspects of the cosmos, all of them angels. The final entity to emerge was wisdom. Acting as a rebel, wisdom created a new being without God's permission. That being was the demiurge named Yaldabaoth. This act enraged God, who banished the demiurge from heaven. Yet Yaldabaoth did not care. He used all available materials to create the physical world, a prison where humanity is trapped, unable to reach heaven. Wisdom realized her mistake and regretted it, laying the foundation for the belief that humans could repent. Yaldabaoth and his army created Adam. According to this book, it was the demiurge, not God, who created the first human. This is why the text could never be included in the official Bible. What followed was a battle between the demiurge and the celestial entities to rescue humanity from the material prison. Jesus knew this secret because he belonged to the heavenly realm and passed it on to John to record. Only 4 copies of the secret book of John survive today. 3 found in the Nag Hammadi Library, and 1 in the Berlin Sachs. None of them are originals, proving the work was once widespread. Without these 4 surviving copies, the book might have been erased from history entirely. Miracle or magic? Where is the true boundary in the Bible? Few dare admit it. But even Jesus once performed rituals that looked remarkably similar to magic. While the word magic never appears directly, Jesus cast out demons using the same power once wielded by King Solomon. Some biblical scholars have even pointed out that Jesus at times invoked the name of the demon Beelzebub to command lesser evil spirits. In the Gospel of Matthew 12:24-27, the Pharisees accused him. He drives out demons only by Beelzebub, the prince of demons. Jesus replied, "If I drive out demons by Beelzebub, by whom do your own people drive them out? They will be your judges ever and W of the breast and denton wrong with an everment and W of the cervity." This exchange shows clearly that invoking the names of evil spirits was not unusual in Jesus' world. Today, exorcisms are done in the name of God. But back then, the names of stronger spirits were also used in rituals to cast out weaker ones. After Jesus' death, the church's stance toward demons became increasingly harsh. The church sought to completely separate the miracles of Jesus and the saints from any actions considered magical. They had to draw a clear line between miracle and sorcery. They could not allow biblical miracles to be associated with the powers of demons. No matter how many ancient hints suggested Jesus might have invoked the names of evil spirits to perform wonders. This shift in perception took years of persistent effort. One example is St. Augustine, who lived from 354 to 430. who insisted that all of Jesus's miracles stemmed from faith, not witchcraft, divination, or magic. Everything was done to separate miracles from the world of demons. Yet, not everyone agreed. Some exploited magic, like Simon Magus, the famous sorcerer of early Christianity, who sold to his students the secrets Jesus once performed. He became one of the great villains in Christian history. Ultimately, the ancient world was full of magic and demons. People today may no longer believe, but reading ancient texts reveals something eerily real. A vivid example is the Gnostic work The Acts of Peter, which recounts a magical duel at Emperor Nero's court from 54 to 68, where Peter and Paul, two apostles of Christ, confronted Simon Magus. The battle was like a scene from a myth, with the apostles representing light, while Simon embodied darkness. The text tells that Simon levitated into the air. But the apostles prayed in the name of God, stripping Simon of his power, causing him to fall and break his leg. Such magical duels span centuries. Irish legend tells that in the year 433, Dreet, Patrick and his disciple Benign faced off against ancient Druid sorcerers. The Druids conjured blizzards and dense darkness, but Patrick easily dispelled them. When the Druids set Ben's hut ablaze, Patrick simply prayed to escape unharmed, while the Druids were consumed by their own fire. From these legends, a consistent pattern emerges. Those who relied on ancient magic and the power of demons always failed. Those who prayed in God's name did not create bizarre miracles. They used prayer to nullify dark sorcery. These were two entirely different sources of power. But was it all true? Has humanity lost the power of magic? Or does prayer hold the real strength? The answer remains a mystery, just like the final secrets about ancient demons in the Secret Book of John. In Thailand, a strange phenomenon has captured the attention of the masses. Something involving extraterrestrials and a giant Buddha statue. Locals have flocked to a hill in central Thailand, hoping to witness beings from another world. According to reports, these mysterious aliens seem drawn to a massive Buddha statue, where they were said to have sent telepathic messages to humans. Residents believe the nearby sugarcane field is actually a portal for these beings to return to their home planet. It sounds far-fetched, but this is happening in Nakhon Sawan, only a 3-hour drive from Bangkok. Nakhon Sawan was once a quiet rural town known for its untouched landscapes and lack of tourism. Everything changed when someone spotted an unidentified flying object in the sky. Since then, Kala Hill has become a new pilgrimage site where many believe that with enough meditation, they can hear whispers in their minds, sent by extraterrestrial beings. The UFO craze in this peaceful countryside grew rapidly, but authorities soon shut it down. Officials dispersed the crowds on the hill, halting all activities related to interstellar communication. "In the wait is not needed," asked of the moles. Yet, as locals have been gathering at this hill since the 1990s to meet aliens, many believe they will inevitably return. Imagine diving into the Baltic Sea, expecting to find only fish and seaweed, but instead discovering something extraordinary. A massive structure from the Stone Age. That's exactly what researchers uncovered in 2021. It was like opening a time capsule from 11,000 years ago, revealing secrets about ancient humans. Scientists from the University of Kiel in Germany made this discovery in Mecklenburg Bay off the coast of Rarik. They found a row of stones at a depth of 21 m. This was not a random pile. It was a meticulously arranged wall of 1,670 stones stretching over half a mile. Think of it as an underwater Great Wall. Much shorter, but built by ancient hunters. What was the wall for? Deer. Jacob Galen and his team believe it was used to hunt reindeer. At that time, reindeer were not pulling Santa's sleigh. They were a primary food source. The wall may have guided the herds into narrow areas or lakes, making them easier to hunt a prehistoric fast food station. Deciphering this underwater structure was no easy task. Scientists had to collect sediment samples, create 3D models of the wall, and reconstruct the landscape of that era. The results showed that after the last ice age, rising sea levels submerged the area, transforming it into today's Baltic Sea. This discovery proves that hunter-gatherers were far from aimless wanderers. Dr. Marcel Brattler pointed out that building such a large-scale structure demonstrated territorial behavior and significant investment in their habitat. This is the first Stone Age hunting structure ever found in the Baltic Sea. But similar constructions have been discovered elsewhere, such as Lake Huron in Michigan, where ancient people also used stone walls to hunt caribou. They were truly ingenious, harnessing their environment to survive long before the concept of takeout existed. The deepest shipwreck ever discovered has been found at a staggering depth in the Philippines. It is a U.S. Navy destroyer that was sunk during World War II. The ship rests at a depth of 6,900 m, about 4 miles beneath the ocean's surface, only half as deep as the Mariana Trench. Just 2% of the ocean is deeper than this. The vessel is named USS Samuel B. Roberts, or Sammy B for short. The U.S. Navy confirmed the discovery in June of 2022 after it was located by a British company. Former naval commander Victor Vesco and his team at Caledon Oceanic found the ship split in two on the seafloor. Sammy B entered service in 1944 and sank the same year during the fierce Battle of Samar. Even though American forces were vastly outnumbered, they fought back with incredible determination. Sammy B managed to inflict damage on an overwhelming Japanese fleet that included 4 battleships, 6 heavy cruisers, 11 destroyers, and Yamato, the most powerful battleship ever built. The vessel fought bravely until it was struck by Yamato's fire and sank, taking 89 sailors with it. 120 crew members survived, clinging to wreckage for nearly 50 hours before being rescued. Deep in the Pacific Ocean, scientists have discovered a field of massive hydrothermal vents covering an area the size of a football field. They resemble jagged underwater chimneys, each towering up to 12 m high. These vents spew out boiling black water with temperatures reaching 360 degrees Celsius, hot enough to burn flesh in an instant. Inside, it is even hotter, reaching up to 460 degrees before the fluid is expelled. According to experts from the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, these extreme temperatures could signal something alarming: an impending volcanic eruption. The newly discovered hydrothermal field lies more than 320 kilometers off the coast of Mexico within the East Pacific Rise, an undersea volcanic ridge stretching from California to Antarctica. If this volcanic chain were to erupt, the consequences for humanity could be catastrophic. Deep within the Mariana Trench, where even James Cameron hesitated to dive, scientists have discovered something astonishing: a virus so extreme that it has been dubbed the Mariana Trench of the viral world. It is called VBHM 497. This virus is unlike the ones that cause the common flu. It is a bacteriophage, meaning it invades bacteria, hijacking their cellular machinery to replicate itself. Think of it as a microscopic vampire, draining the life from bacteria instead of blood. What is strange is how it infects. Unlike most viruses that kill the cells they invade, VBHM 497 acts quietly. It inserts its genetic material into the bacterium's genome and replicates silently without causing immediate harm. It's like a secret guest reorganizing your house without you noticing. Except the house is a bacterium and the guest is a virus. Why should humans care about a virus at the bottom of the ocean? Because these tiny explorers reveal clues about how life can survive in places without light and under pressures hundreds of times greater than what humans can endure. Scientists are particularly excited because this is only the third known virus capable of infecting deep-sea Halomonas bacteria. Its unique behavior could unlock secrets about viral evolution and survival strategies in extreme environments. In the future, researchers hope to better understand how this virus interacts with its host and perhaps even uncover new biochemical processes that could inspire breakthroughs in medicine or biotechnology. Hopefully, they won't accidentally bring back something too dangerous. Because with ancient organisms buried deep below, No one knows what might be awakened. Researchers have discovered a strange group of pyramid-like structures lying beneath the ocean. They were detected using sonar, appearing as massive stone blocks. Things usually found on land like Stonehenge or Göbekli in Turkey. These structures measure about 360 m long and over 36 m high, estimated to be around 6,000 years old. They do not resemble anything ever found in Cuba, but they are more reminiscent of the pyramids and temples in Belize or Mexico. This discovery should have shocked the archaeological world. But since it was announced a few years ago, information about it has nearly vanished. Many debates have erupted over whether this finding is even real. Although sonar images show them clearly, no team has gone down to investigate directly, and mainstream archaeologists have avoided mentioning them. This has led some to speculate that the ancient city might rewrite history, and that for some reason the discovery has been suppressed. Others argue that these are merely natural geological formations. While they may look like pyramids, temples, or ancient structures, there remains a possibility that they are simply rocks whose shapes are coincidental. In the United Kingdom, construction on a new supermarket came to an abrupt halt when workers uncovered ancient ruins hidden beneath the ground. Beneath the site of the future ALDI store lay the crumbling foundations of a Roman villa. The discovery was like digging under a Walmart in America and finding an ancient Native American burial ground. Archaeologists were urgently called to the scene. They had suspected there might be Roman remains because the area was near the town of Olney in Buckinghamshire, once a Roman settlement 2,000 years ago, still buried beneath the modern streets. John Booth, a representative of Oxford archaeology, said they were prepared for a significant find. But what they uncovered exceeded expectations. They had excavated the foundations of a Roman villa, likely once belonging to a wealthy landowner. Finding just the foundation would have been valuable enough. But what shocked everyone even more was a nearly intact mosaic floor. The Romans were famous for their love of color. Their walls were often decorated with vibrant fresco of plants and animals, while their floors were adorned with intricate mosaics featuring mythological or geometric designs. The mosaic found here still retained its vivid colors: tiny red, white, and blue tiles arranged in a complex pattern. It was an undisclosed artistic treasure. Sadly for historians, local authorities agreed only to preserve the mosaic with special materials, and then continue building the supermarket as if nothing had happened. The site would be documented, photographed, and archived, but construction would proceed. Additionally, archaeologists found nearby stone structures believed to be remnants of a Roman water system and the remains of a public bathhouse. All of it indicated this was once a large complex. Unfortunately, they were not permitted to excavate further. A bizarre creature has just been found in the depths of an ocean trench. Scientists have nicknamed it the gummy squirrel because to them it looks like a half-pelleted moldy banana. Researchers from London's Natural History Museum discovered this strange marine animal during an expedition in the Pacific Ocean. On this mission, they also collected dozens of organisms that may be completely new to science. In the summer of 2018, a remotely operated vehicle was sent down 16,400 feet into the trench between Hawaii and Mexico. This is a place where many odd creatures thrive. The team recovered 55 samples, 39 of which appear to be entirely new species, according to biologist Guadalupe Brica Contreras. The last time this area was surveyed was 150 years ago. It's no surprise they found so many unusual organisms. The gummy squirrel is a type of sea cucumber shaped like a banana nearly 60 centimeters long, about the size of a child's arm. The team also discovered a new species of sponge that looks like an underwater tulip. Although they didn't encounter giant monsters or terrifying fang-toothed fish, this remains a mysterious region of the ocean where sunlight never reaches and nutrients are scarce. With more expeditions in the future, scientists believe many more strange creatures are waiting to be discovered in the University of Florida's rare book collection. in the rare book collection at the University of Florida. The oldest volume is also one of the first works ever added to the library's archives exactly a century ago. Bound in leather. It is a copy of the New Testament written in Latin nearly 800 years ago. What makes this book so mysterious is the presence of content that no one has ever deciphered. Inside this ancient Bible, researchers found strange notes written in an unknown language. Although the exact date of this New Testament manuscript is uncertain, scholars believe it was composed around the year 1250 AD, a time when people still believed the sun revolved around the earth. The Crusades were raging across Europe, and Constantinople stood as the most prosperous city in the world. The book was originally just a standard copy of the New Testament. But as it was passed down through generations in Europe, many owners left notes in the margins. Most of these handwritten lines date back to the 14th century, with many appearing as random symbols or numbers. Some passages are written in brown ink, others in red. But that doesn't matter because none of them can be read. They consist of repeating, meaningless characters resembling a cipher. A few markings seem to form words, but they hold no clear meaning. At least not one modern scholars can understand. At the end of the book is a list of letters accompanied by strange numbers. It looks like a cipher key, a clue to unlocking the mystery. Yet to this day, no one has managed to decode it. The book has since been digitized because so many universities have requested copies, and you can even view it online if you want to try your luck. On February 19, 1947, Admiral Richard E. Byrd left his Arctic base camp and flew north in a small aircraft. For 70 years, rumors have swirled about this mysterious flight. According to legend, Admiral Byrd flew past the North Pole and entered a massive opening that swallowed him whole. He supposedly passed beyond the pole into a gateway leading directly into the Earth's hollow interior, a secret world beneath our planet. This hidden realm was said to house strange creatures, its own ecosystem, and even a civilization resembling humanity. Upon returning to Washington in March of 1947, Byrd was rumored to have delivered a strange message to top officials. He claimed that upon entering this inner world, he encountered representatives of this civilization. Though they lived in eternal darkness, they were not unfamiliar with the surface world. These mysterious beings allegedly sent Byrd with a warning to world leaders: stop using nuclear weapons. None of this has ever been confirmed, but it's far from the only conspiracy surrounding Admiral Byrd's life. He also traveled to Antarctica in 1956, where rumors suggest he penetrated the South Pole and found another gateway to the hollow world. If the first opening was at the planet's crown, this one was at its base. But if all this is true, why have no satellite images ever revealed these entrances? And why has no solid evidence of the hollow Earth ever been found? Sadly, the last living member of the expedition that accompanied Admiral Byrd to Antarctica in 1956 passed away not long ago. Before dying at the age of 102, Robert Johnson left behind a few words shedding light on the truth of his journeys with the Admiral. Richard Byrd had traveled to Antarctica many times. In 1939, he sailed there on the USS Bear, a hybrid sailing and steam-powered ship. Robert Johnson, then only 19, was the youngest member of the crew. He returned to Antarctica with Byrd in 1946 during Operation High Jump, parachuting onto the white ice of the southernmost continent. In a later interview, Robert described Antarctica as the quietest place on Earth. 2 years later, Robert returned once more with the U.S. Navy during Operation Windmill. According to him, everything they did in Antarctica was purely for exploration. It was all scientific research. He never mentioned setting foot in a hollow world. Nor did he ever speak of meeting any mysterious civilization. He was just an ordinary man, the son of a naval officer in San Diego. His naval career spanned from 1937 to 1956, after which he worked for the Postal Service. He died in Jacksonville, becoming the final living witness to every expedition with Admiral Byrd. Did Robert take a secret about the hollow earth to his grave? People still ask that question to this day. Beneath nearly 500 m of ice in the wet sea, one of the coldest waters on the planet, marine biologists have made an unprecedented discovery. A natural fish nursery on a staggering scale. Autumn Purser and his team accidentally uncovered the largest known colony of nesting ice fish ever recorded. They found approximately 60 million nests spread across an area the size of Orlando, Florida. Until now, researchers had only ever seen a handful of ice fish nests during each survey. Never anything of this magnitude. Thanks to the thick ice overhead, this species appears to have been shielded from fishing activity and other predators. The discovery offers new insights into the role of icefish in the ocean's food web and raises questions about the ocean's original abundance before industrial fishing and widespread whaling. NASA's IceBridge program once monitored Antarctic ice changes using a new system called Atlas. This technology allowed scientists to see through the ice to identify what lay buried beneath the surface. They used photons to create detailed maps of the terrain hidden below the glaciers. The survey results revealed something resembling a mysterious city, an artificial structure concealed for thousands of years. Patterns in the imagery clearly showed signs of man-made architecture. Most striking was a pyramid-shaped structure peeking through the ice. Of course, it could all be a natural formation. Yet, to many, the straight lines and clusters of rectangles looked exactly like houses, all buried nearly 2 kilometers under the ice. The only way a settlement could exist beneath Antarctica is if it had formed hundreds of thousands of years ago, back when the continent was still a lush forest. If there truly is a city buried beneath the ice, it would overturn everything we know about human history. It would mean an ancient civilization existed here long before humanity as we know it. And their legacy has survived only because it has been preserved under layers of ice for millennia. A massive staircase in Antarctica was once believed to be proof that extraterrestrials have been hiding on the icy continent. And perhaps they have been there for years. Satellite images captured a structure resembling a staircase in the middle of a desolate frozen wasteland where nothing but sand and snow should exist. The staircase appears to lead nowhere, rising into the empty sky, completely isolated amid the icy desert. No one has been able to explain its origin. Some claim the staircase was once part of a gigantic pyramid built by a lost civilization. Others speculate it might descend into an underground base where small green beings are plotting humanity's downfall. However, there are also those who suggest it is nothing more than an optical illusion. Perhaps the remnants of an unknown vehicle, or simply a glitch in the satellite imagery. But the story does not end there. Someone browsing Google Earth discovered satellite images of an object resembling a flying saucer. In a remote mountainous area of Antarctica, a perfectly round disk seemed to be peeking out from the entrance of a cave. This unidentified object was spotted around the same time as the giant staircase, fueling conspiracy theories and exciting mystery enthusiasts even more. Although no one has verified the authenticity of these discoveries, debates about the presence of extraterrestrials in Antarctica show no signs of stopping. The Whitmore Mountains in Antarctica were once a hunting ground for dinosaur fossils. But what researchers uncovered there defied imagination. Fossilized human bones shrunk into the size of an ordinary foot, completely petrified and encased in mountain rock. These strange fossils were reportedly sent to the National Institute of Ancient Research in Washington for analysis. Even more shocking, scientists estimated the fossils to be 600 million years old, a time when only jellyfish existed on Earth, long before humans were ever thought to have evolved. Truthfully, the fossils look suspiciously fake. No reputable scientist has publicly confirmed this discovery, and all information about it remains vague. Perhaps researchers really did find small human bones, but it is hard to believe they could be that ancient. Genuine. The find would spark theories that Antarctica was once home to a race of tiny humans, or even mythical beings like fairies. What if Leonardo da Vinci was not only a genius artist hiding secret symbols in his paintings, but also someone sending a message about extraterrestrials? That is the strange theory currently stirring online communities. A mysterious video recently surfaced claiming that if you adjust the colors and mirror the Mona Lisa, the face and unusually long fingers of an alien being gradually emerge from the painting's center. According to conspiracy theorists, this face resembles that of an alien high priest wearing a large hat with fingers folded in an oddly solemn pose. They call this image the alien priest and believe it carries a timeless hidden message. The same phenomenon appears when the same technique is applied to Leonardo's painting of St. John the Baptist. Although not as famous as the Mona Lisa when mirrored and color filtered, it too reveals a strange face. One that seems not quite human. Could it be that Leonardo da Vinci, with his mind centuries ahead of its time, embedded evidence of beings from another world into his art? Or is it all just a visual illusion born from humanity's tendency to see patterns where none exist? Leonardo has been gone for over 5 centuries, and the secrets he carried remain unsolved. Did he really hide images of aliens in his paintings? Or is this nothing more than the vivid imagination of those who came after him? We may never know. Before colonialism set foot on the continent, Africa was home to powerful kingdoms that thrived for centuries. Across the land, great cities and wealthy empires rose and fell. Yet, around 900 years ago, everything began to wither. The Sahara Desert gradually lost its fertility. The soil dried out and the fate of these civilizations turned grim. Among the scattered ruins of lost kingdoms lies one of the oldest and most mysterious sites, the city of Junugo in the sub-Saharan region. The remains of this ancient city are now located in modern-day Mali, West Africa. It is believed that Junugo was founded around 250 years before Christ and flourished thanks to the fertile agricultural land surrounding it. The city quickly became a major trading hub with its population soaring to 20,000 people. Many researchers speculate that it was once the capital of a vast kingdom, but its history has been forgotten. And to this day, no one knows exactly what happened there. Evidence suggests that about 15 smaller settlements surrounded the city like suburbs sprouting around a large urban center. However, because its inhabitants had no written language, they left behind no records describing their beliefs or political system. Starting from the 9th century, the city of Janino began to decline. When Muslim traders arrived and built a new city nearby called Jannah, the ancient city that had stood for more than a millennium was abandoned. Left in ruins by the 14th century, no one knows what caused its ultimate downfall, though many theories have been proposed. The most reasonable explanation may be that the city simply lost its significance as times changed. What is most peculiar lies within the archaeological remains of Junugo. Some of the most fascinating artifacts found there are terracotta statues. Many depict a bearded man wearing a helmet resembling a Greek style riding a horse. No one knows if he was a king or a god, but he is often portrayed with others kneeling at his feet. Equally striking is the sheer number of statues showing people being attacked by snakes or suffering from diseases. It seems the inhabitants of this place once struggled against harsh nature and rampant plagues. Another oddity is that after 30 years of excavation, archaeologists have yet to find any palace or temple. This is unusual as most ancient societies built places of worship or grand structures for their rulers. Yet in this sub-Saharan land, there is no sign that they ever worshipped a god or lived under the rule of a king. In the depths of the Atlantic Ocean, researchers have discovered something that even their advanced equipment cannot explain. While carrying great hope and burning curiosity, they unexpectedly encountered a series of holes arranged in a strange, perfectly straight line across the seafloor. These holes lie more than 770 m down. But what on earth could have created them? Could someone have worked here long ago and left tools behind? Or are these the tracks of some mysterious creature lurking in the darkness? The ocean floor is considered the planet's final frontier. Humanity knows more about the moon than it does about these depths. Places where pressure can crush any living thing. Where it is cold and pitch black. Yet life still exists and thrives in miraculous ways. These holes, however, have left everyone baffled. What do they look like? Imagine a row of small holes, evenly spaced, as if someone used a giant hole puncher to press rhythmically into the ocean floor. The mounds of sediment around them suggest that something dug them out. But what? During the 2022 voyage to the Ridge expedition, ocean researchers tried to find answers. They observed the holes closely, but came up empty-handed. Frustrated, but undeterred, they took the mystery online, inviting speculation from experts and the global community. The responses were diverse. Theories ranged from an undiscovered species of crab to the possibility of gas escaping from the seafloor. Another popular idea is that the holes may be traces left by some unknown marine creature. This is not the first time such puzzling holes have been found. In July 2004, similar holes were recorded along the Mid-Atlantic Ridge at a depth of more than 2,800 m. Scientists back then gave them a German name, Lebanon Spuren, meaning traces of life. The name sounds elegant, but in reality, it simply reflects one thing. They were just as confused then as they are now. Why are these holes important? Because they remind humanity that there is still so much unknown about the ecosystems along mid-ocean ridges. These ecosystems are crucial to the planet's health, and every new discovery expands our understanding of life and the processes that unfold there. The holes are like nature's notes, whispering that countless mysteries remain. What happens next? Scientists will continue to explore, search, and decode what created them. Whether the answer opens the door to deeper secrets of the ocean or simply reveals the work of a cunning sea creature. One thing is certain. The ocean will always be full of surprises. In Antarctica, recent satellite images may have revealed evidence of ancient humans in the frozen land. Independent researcher William James F. used remote sensing technology to uncover ruins no one had ever seen. At least according to William himself, who is known for his groundbreaking discoveries. William once used satellite imagery to trace the migration paths of ancient sailors across the oceans. But this time, he turned his focus to theories about humans in Antarctica thousands of years ago, around 6,000 years in the past. He began by scanning the coastlines of Australia, suspecting that prehistoric humans may have traveled from there to Antarctica in ancient times. Based on his knowledge of ancient seafaring, William hypothesized that early humans rode from eastern Australia to the Antarctic Circle, arriving in Wilkes Land. He focused his scans on deglaciated areas where ice had melted to expose underlying rock. Though these areas were few, he found some sections near the Ross Sea and Victoria Land. It was on a 2-kilometer stretch of coastline that he discovered what he called a human head. Not an actual head, that would be far too gruesome. It was a shape resembling a human face, almost like a Picasso drawing carved into the rock. William called this the first portrait of ancient humans in Antarctica, standing 23 m tall with a Eurasian face, a Croton star symbol on the left cheek, a diamond on the forehead, a triangle under the eye, and 2 linear characters beside the head. An ancient script scientists have yet to decipher. Linear A was once used on the island of Crete thousands of years ago. If William's discovery is real, it suggests the first people to reach Antarctica may have come from Greece or perhaps traveled to Australia first, then to the icy continent. Not everyone believes William's research. Critics argue that he is merely imagining shapes from satellite images, much like people who see animals in clouds. However, William continued to present other strange formations. A carving of a humanoid animal head on Maremio Island, and another portrait featuring a mysterious headdress. Are these remnants of a lost civilization or just tricks of the eye? The answer remains open to those who yearn to uncover the world's deepest mysteries. Near Antarctica, an enormous ship lying upside down has been discovered, but no one knows its origin. At least, it looks exactly like a ship. Or it could simply be an iceberg, albeit the strangest one ever recorded. From bow to stern, this ship measures more than 130 m long. Viewed through Google Earth satellite imagery, Its appearance is hard to dismiss. It has rows of window-like markings along the hull and smokestacks positioned exactly like those on a modern cruise liner. Every detail aligns perfectly with the shape of a large vessel. But if it truly is a ship, why is it buried in the Antarctic ice? That question remains unanswered. Some conspiracy theories suggest this is part of a doomsday plan. An elite fleet of massive ships built in secret to survive a global catastrophe. Each ship would serve as a modern-day Noah's Ark, carrying billionaires and politicians instead of animals. Since no one has claimed ownership of the vessel, others believe it may have been a transport ship for world leaders that somehow became trapped in ice. Some theories even link it to the Nazis, claiming it carried Hitler to a secret Antarctic base or that it was a World War II-era ship frozen for nearly a century. There are even those who insist it is connected to extraterrestrials. NASA experts, however, offer a more rational explanation. The frozen ship is likely just an ordinary iceberg with its shape creating an illusion known as pareidolia, where the human brain perceives familiar patterns in random forms like seeing dragons and clouds. What do you think? Is it a real ship or just an anonymous iceberg? The mystery remains, waiting for new answers from those driven to explore. In the untamed hills of the Samano Mountains in Italy lies an ancient forest untouched by the footsteps of modern civilization. This place is known as Selva de Milano, a wild land where ancient oaks and dense hazel trees grow in silence. Hidden among deep ravines and steep gorges, mysterious stone altars lie concealed under the tangled forest canopy. No one knows for sure who carved these altars. They may have been made by the Etruscans, an ancient people who ruled much of Italy before the rise of the Roman Empire. But there is no solid proof. What is known is that they were carved from volcanic rock formed by ancient eruptions. Some of the altars are particularly striking, such as the Sotto del Predicatore or Preacher's Rock. It is a peculiar block of stone with stairs carved directly into its side leading up to a high platform, once the site of religious rituals. Clearly, this was once a sacred place, but its true purpose remains a mystery. Some scholars believe the Etruscans used the forest to observe birds or study the stars. Later, the Romans took over the area, repurposing the altars as burial sites. Archaeologists have discovered deep burial niches in the forest, where the altars were converted into tombs holding Roman ashes. Many of the altars still bear Latin inscriptions, though many now lie within private lands. The forest also holds the remains of an ancient Benedictine monastery built atop 3 Roman tombs. Tombs that may once have been carved from the original Etruscan altars. Sadly, the entire area has been almost forgotten by archaeologists. There are no signs to guide visitors, and the overgrown trails can easily lead strangers astray. But for many, just a single glimpse of the Preacher's Rock is reason enough to venture there. In Mexico, there is a city believed to be shielded from hurricanes by an interdimensional alien base. This is Ciudad Mato, a place where a group of UFO enthusiasts has spread this unbelievable claim. These skywatchers belong to the Tamaulipas Scientific UFO Research Association. They are 100% convinced that an alien base called ALPAC has been protecting this coastal city from hurricanes for more than half a century. Their leader, Juan Carlos Ramon Lopez Diaz, even claims he once visited the base through astral projection, a deep meditation combined with a seafood-only diet. But what has the AAC base done to prevent hurricanes? According to Lopez, it is not the base itself, but the collective belief in its power that creates a force field deflecting storms. Imagine a massive cosmic umbrella powered by faith and a few strategically placed metal rods beneath the sea. Why has Ciudad Madero not been hit directly by a hurricane since 1966? Climate scientists like Dr. Rosario Romero have a more practical explanation. She argues that large-scale atmospheric conditions and prevailing wind patterns push strong storms north toward the United States, rather than south toward Mexico. Yet, even she admits there is something unusual about the weather patterns here. Despite scientific reasoning, many locals still cling to the mystical explanation. Some believe aliens are protecting their base and the city simply benefits by chance. Others find comfort in faith. Much like Catholics place their trust in Our Lady of Mount Carmel. An interesting detail. In 2013, the city erected a green Martian head statue on Miramar Beach and declared the last Tuesday of October as Martian Day. Unfortunately, the statue was later stolen, perhaps by someone hoping to keep a special talisman to protect their own crops. Whether one believes in alien guardians, mysterious force fields, or simply the science of climate, the storm-free record of Ciudad Madero remains a story worth remembering. As hurricane season comes again, a mix of practical preparation and a touch of cosmic hope may keep this city safe for yet another year. In the 3rd century BC, across the vast Eurasian steppes, a confederation of nomadic tribes rose to power the Xiong. They thrived in these barren lands for 3 centuries. Knowledge about the Xiong remains extremely scarce, relying mostly on records from ancient Chinese dynasties. The Chinese, who clashed with them along the borders, describe the Xiong as fierce cavalry warriors ruled by powerful women because they left behind no written language. Historians have never gained a complete understanding of this enigmatic civilization. In the archaeological record, the Xiong appear almost like ghosts. Migratory societies such as theirs rarely leave traces after 2,000 years. What sets the Xiongnu apart is that they never built cities. They lived as nomads, constantly moving. Still, they constructed a few stone burial complexes from which archaeologists have excavated more than a dozen skeletons. Genetic analysis revealed a highly diverse community. But what shocked researchers most was that the grandest tombs belonged to women, while most ancient societies reserved monumental graves for kings. Here the largest burial sites contained the remains of noble women. Dr. Christina Warner, an associate professor of anthropology, suggests this evidence points to a society ruled by women. She likens the Xiongnu to a miniature Roman Empire. Men went to war to conquer territory, while the queen stayed behind to govern the frontiers. Additionally, genetic testing showed that noble women possessed very pure bloodlines, strictly controlled across generations. The men buried alongside them, likely servants or slaves, came from a variety of ethnic backgrounds. All this indicates that the Xiongnu were a long-standing matriarchal society, where power and lineage were concentrated in the hands of female rulers from a single bloodline. In Goa, the party capital of India, rests the nearly incorrupt body of a saint. For centuries, pilgrims have kissed the exposed feet of his mummified remains. The life of St. Francis Xavier was so unusual that even the Church rarely speaks of all its mysteries. Xavier was born in Spain in 15006. Initially a scholar, he later joined the Jesuit order. He preached in Italy before traveling to Goa, India in 1541 to spread Christianity. At the time, Goa was a refuge for the persecuted. Many Jews fleeing the European Inquisition sought safety there. Under Portuguese rule, Goa became a sanctuary for those hunted by inquisitors. In 1545, Xavier wrote to the Pope, urging the establishment of an Inquisition tribunal in Goa. By 1560, his request became reality, even though Xavier had died in 1552 while attempting to reach China. The Inquisition in Goa turned brutal. According to lost records, at least 16,000 people were tried and persecuted. After his death, Xavier's body was brought back to India. Legend says that a follower bit off his little toe and blood still flowed as if the body were alive. His remains were displayed in Goa while his right hand was severed and sent to Rome in 1614. The practice of kissing the saint's foot had to be stopped as the foot gradually decayed. In 2022, divers discovered the wreck of USS Jacob Jones, a U.S. Navy destroyer sunk by an enemy submarine more than a century ago. In 1917, the ship was famous for being the first American destroyer lost in combat. Divers from the British Subqua Club found the wreck while searching for mysterious vessels along the UK coastline. USS Jacob Jones was struck by a German torpedo during World War I. It was the prototype for the destroyer class, now the backbone of the U.S. Navy. The wreck lies 40 miles off the southwest coast of England at a depth of 115 m. Before it sank, the vessel was a formidable force armed with 4 4-inch guns, 8 533mm torpedo tubes, and powered by twin steam turbines generating 17,000 horsepower. After the United States entered the war, Jacob Jones escorted convoys, transporting troops and supplies from North America to Europe. In its short service, it rescued hundreds of stranded Allied sailors caught in enemy activity. But on the night of December 6, 1917, it was torpedoed and sank, killing 64 crew members. The ship vanished for more than a century until the day it was finally found. A controversial new study is shaking the field of paleontology. The mighty Tyrannosaurus rex, the king of the Cretaceous, may have had thin lips. Scientists now believe that T-Rex did not roam with exposed dagger-like teeth like a crocodile. Instead, its teeth were likely covered by a thin layer of lips, similar to modern lizards. This means that unless it was eating or roaring, its teeth would not have been visible. Why would such a fearsome predator need lips? Researchers explain that the lips kept its teeth moist, maintaining their strength to crush the bones of its prey. Previously, T-Rex was often compared to crocodiles, which lack lips and always show their teeth. But paleontologist Thomas Cullen from Auburn University now asserts that the dinosaur's mouth was more like that of a lizard, able to close tightly and protect its teeth from drying out. The new hypothesis is supported by the analysis of a well-preserved fossil tooth, which showed it existed in a moist environment, evidence that it was enclosed within a lipped mouth. In short, T-Rex had lips and many other dinosaurs may have had them, too. The largest Viking treasure found in more than half a century has just been unearthed in Denmark. The unexpected discovery came from an amateur treasure hunter armed with nothing but a metal detector and extraordinary patience. He found the hoard buried beneath an unassuming cornfield. Inside was a collection of exquisite Viking silver jewelry, along with a series of rare coins that astonished archaeologists. The coins originated from across the world, from the Arab lands to Germanic territories, proving that the Vikings had established an extensive trade network over 1,000 years ago. Some coins bore ancient Danish marks, indicating that the burial site was once a key trade hub. The treasure was uncovered near an abandoned Viking ring fortress dating back to around 980. The biggest question remains: who left behind such valuable riches in the middle of a field? In truth, burying treasure was common practice for the Vikings. They were often compared to dogs, burying bones cautious in times of war. During periods of conflict, warriors would hide their wealth, intending to retrieve it once peace returned. Sometimes they never came back, often falling on distant battlefields. The Danish coins in the hoard date from the 970s to the 980s during the reign of King Harald Bluetooth. This ruler is known for converting to Christianity, perhaps as part of a midlife crisis. Some of the coins initially displayed traditional Viking designs, but after converting, Harald added crosses to one side. This sudden change allowed modern archaeologists to easily date the treasure. As for the nearby ring fortress called Firecat, it once stood proudly about 13 kilometers from the treasure site. The fortress was burned around 980. Are the two relics connected? To this day, the answer remains uncertain. The rise of Baphomet in Salem, Massachusetts, once the stage for the infamous witch trials. The Church of Satan is gradually establishing itself as an official religious organization granted tax-exempt status. This development has left many Christians feeling uneasy. As a legal entity, the Church of Satan fights for equal rights alongside other religious groups, particularly Christian organizations. When the City Council of Phoenix, Arizona, opened each meeting with a Christian prayer, the Church of Satan demanded the right to recite their own prayer. Refusing to compromise, the council eliminated prayers altogether. When a Christian missionary group created an after-school club, the Church of Satan responded with its own after-school Satan Club, promoting scientific thinking rather than magic or witchcraft. The Church of Satan claims it does not believe in Satan or any supernatural beings. They do not worship deities, nor do they hold secret rituals. Instead, they embrace a philosophy of secular humanism. Their first tenet calls for kindness and compassion toward all living creatures. So, why did they choose Baphomet as their symbol? That is another story, one tied to the long and shadowy history of demons and the world of the occult. At an ancient temple in Abydos, Egypt, archaeologists uncovered a collection of sheep skulls so bizarre it defied belief. All of them offerings to Pharaoh Ramses II, who ruled ancient Egypt more than 3,000 years ago. Before his death around 1213 BC, the Egyptian people honored their legendary king with an unprecedented ritual. 2,000 severed sheep heads. Yes, 2,000 were placed at the temple dedicated to his spirit, a testament to the devotion that spanned generations. What stunned archaeologists was the timing of the offering. The heads were not presented immediately after Ramses II's death, but a full 1,000 years later during the late New Kingdom period. Even more astonishing, every single skull had been mummified. The discovery was made by a research team from New York University. While surveying an overlooked area of the temple, they stumbled upon a small sealed chamber. No one had opened its door before. When it swung open, they were met with an unimaginable sight. 2,000 sheep heads wrapped in linens. The mummification was crude, incomplete, yet the traces of the sacrificial ritual remained intact. Why sheep? And why a millennium after the king's death? Scientists still have no definitive answers. What is clear is that the reverence for Ramses II, the longest reigning pharaoh in Egyptian history, transcended both time and space. Once again, the Neanderthals have forced scientists to rethink everything they thought they knew. At a seaside cave near Lisbon, Portugal, archaeologists discovered evidence that our Neanderthal ancestors were feasting on crabs 90,000 years ago, long before modern humans reached Europe. Neanderthals were sitting by their fires, savoring roasted crabs on the Iberian coast like prehistoric gourmets. The cave lies at the edge of the Atlantic Ocean. Here, researchers uncovered cooking ash, seashells, animal bones, and an enormous number of crab shells, enough to show that crabs were a regular part of their diet. Dr. Mariana Nabias from the Catalan Institute of Human Paleoecology and Social Evolution stated that Neanderthals regularly harvested large brown crabs. Remarkably, their cooking techniques were not much different from those of modern chefs. Once again, our ancient relatives proved to be intelligent, resourceful, and surprisingly refined in their tastes. A hybrid breed of massive pigs armed with resilience and unnerving intelligence is quietly moving into the United States from Canada. These super pigs originated in Europe and were brought to Canada in the 1980s as a source of exotic meat for upscale restaurants. The economic plan quickly collapsed, and when European wild boars bred with domestic pigs, a new breed was born: the giant hybrid pig. These animals can grow thick fur like mammoths to survive Canadian winters and boast enormous bodies. Over the years, they escaped into the wild and reproduced at alarming rates. Professor Ryan Brook from the University of Saskatchewan calls them the most dangerous invasive animal on the planet. These pigs can wipe out an entire farmer's crop overnight, pushing local ecosystems to the brink. Today, traces of the super pigs have been reported on farms in Texas. The threat they pose to American agriculture is serious and growing. Researchers from the European Institute for Underwater Archaeology have announced the discovery of a treasure-filled shipwreck from the Hellenistic era, more than 2,000 years old. The ship was found in Abir Bay off the coast of Alexandria, Egypt. It is believed to have sunk after massive stone blocks from the Temple of Ammon collapsed during a natural disaster in the 2nd century BC. Frank Gadio, president of Ammon, explained that the temple was destroyed in a catastrophic event. When it collapsed, chunks of stone crashed down on a ship anchored in a nearby channel. The vessel was pinned to the seafloor and eventually buried beneath 5 m of sediment. Abuker Bay holds more than just this ship. The area was once home to the port city of Heracleion, believed to have housed Cleopatra's temple before Egypt fell to Rome in the 2nd century BC, possibly triggered by an earthquake-induced tsunami. The entire city of Heracleion sank into the sea. Temples, ships, streets. Everything was swallowed by the ocean where it has lain undisturbed for over 2 millennia. If you found these mysterious stories fascinating, leave your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss our upcoming discoveries. See you in the next video.